Is the cheapest personal trainer the trainer that you should hire? We're diving into this today on Unloaded. I'm Crystal, this is Megan, and we're your hosts. If you have any questions for us, we're going to pop our contact information into the video description. Please feel free to reach out and share your comments. We'd love to hear from you. So Megan, this is a fun one to talk about. There's some different perspectives. Obviously, we can look at this through a lens of like the personal trainer and the coach, and then you can look at this through the lens of a prospective client.
Yes.
I'll say for myself, in terms of the rates that I put out there, they're based on what I need to earn to make a living, and also the value that I try very hard to bring to my service, whether it's nutrition or coaching, personal training. So it's not just like random, like picked off the internet, or like, oh, the person down the street is charging that, so that's what my rate's going to be, or $5 or $10 above or below. There's some real thought that goes into it. For my part. How about you?
Absolutely. It's the same for sure. When I started out, I started by comparing my prices or just looking at what's going on in the market. And then I realized how many people are undercharging. And I started to realize how much time I put into each one of my clients or projects. And I have to charge based on that, because we don't want to burn ourselves out trying to work or working 50 hours a week just to make 40 grand a year. That's just not realistic. You're not going to get a good coach out of that, because the great coaches are going to work themselves to the bone and then leave the industry completely because they're tired.
And this is a prevalent issue. I don't know if people realize how pervasive this is in the coaching space, but burnout in the industry is huge. I don't know the exact statistic. I want to say it's like 1.5 to 2 years, but folks will go to school, or take multiple courses, like spend time investing in their education and investing in this career, and then just be done and need to either move into something completely different, or sort of like a field that maybe is a little bit adjacent to it, but not quite, the same, because they're done. They're overworked. They're pulling those like 10, 12-hour days. They're charging way too little. And, just to make ends meet, they have to take on a ton of clients. And, if you've ever been in a session with a really great coach, like as a client, so you're an athlete and you're working in your session with your coach, that coach, if they're good, they are present. I mean, they are there. They are having like for your whole session, whether it's 30 minutes, 40 minutes, an hour, they're invested. It's in their body language. It's in the way they speak to you. It's in the energy. It's in the preparation. Like you can tell that they are 100% there. And what you might not know is like how much, like what a demand that puts on them, because they are like, wearing a lot of hats in that session. And so if you multiply that over a number of clients throughout the day, and maybe some other stuff that they've got going on in the back that they have to be doing, it is a very like demanding profession. Now, compare that to a session that you've done maybe with a coach who was just not that great. And maybe it's because they're tired, or maybe it's because they don't care, but you can tell, like it's palpable, right? That energy, like maybe have you ever been in a class or in a session with a coach that was pretty crappy?
Yes, which, I understand we need a lot of coaches to exist to service the industry. And not everyone can afford or even wants a higher quality service, but you can feel it. You feel like the coach isn't really paying attention. They also, you might not feel like they even believe in you, or they're excited about what you're doing. Like, I love that coach that's excited that you just have a better plank. You can hold a plank longer. Like, I want a coach that is excited about the big and the small things.
Yeah. They're invested and that they're present.
Yeah. And the best results will happen when both the coach and client are fully invested. Not when we're treating our workouts like a discount bin and undercharging, and then trying to just make a quick buck to get more clients. But more clients isn't always better. And sometimes your service starts to go downhill when you have more and more clients.
Yeah, well, you're stretched. There's only so much energy, and there's only so much excitement that you can bring to each session and each day.
Yeah.
I remember, like, from a gym ownership perspective, like having different coaches over the years work for me over a span of like 10 years. And sometimes I would like come into the gym either like unexpectedly, or I was like, coming out of the front office or whatever. And I remember like, just moments in time with particular people where I would like find a coach like, completely checked out, like leaning against the wall, gazing off into space while there's like 15 people in a class, like working out. And I just was always like, no, like this isn't it. Like you need to be engaged. You should be talking, like circling the room. You should be talking to each member. Even in that group class, your excitement and your energy needs to be palpable. People need to know that you are present, that you care. And I would check in with those people. Hey, how's your day? Are you working too much? Do I have you on the schedule too much? Like what, you know what I mean? Like from a gym ownership perspective, I was like, okay, I'll take some responsibility. Like we need to talk about this. But if this is your best, then this isn't good enough. Like this isn't what we're doing.
Yeah. And if that coach, this is their like full time, this is their career, and they're working at your gym like 30 to 40 hours. I mean, even 30 hours of coaching in a week, that's far too much, because the behind the scenes work, like it's your 1 hour workout is always so much more, or should be so much more than that 1 hour workout. The coach, if you want a great coach, they're putting in study time. They don't have a ton of support when it comes to education, no support. They're paying for their own insurance. They're doing a bunch of things outside of the gym. So if they have to work that much and then also work that much more outside of the gym, it's just not sustainable. So you're going to find your great coaches. You don't want to pay them properly, and you'll lose them, and you'll keep going through this cycle over time. And I feel like I'm kind of in the fight to show that this is a profession worth paying for. Even in regards to like free events that gyms run, it's great. I love that there's free events out there, and I've participated in plenty of them and volunteered at them. But if you're running free events, can you afford to pay your trainers properly? Give them an occasional raise? Can you pay them to work these events? Like sometimes these events, you'll have 40 hours of preparation just by one organizer leading up to it. Is the expectation that that's free? Because then maybe the free event is just on the backs of your greatest people. Right. Is that what we want to do?
Yeah, there's definitely that's a conversation. I think when we look at those types of situations, I think what needs to happen probably is a conversation with your like ownership or your management team and your staff and your employees. So like you're diving into like policies and like contracts and like what is the expectation for my role in this gym. So if there is an expectation that you're going to volunteer some hours, that needs to be like clearly defined at the onset. So there are no hard feelings either way, right? And everyone benefits, like obviously your owner, and then your employer, and then of course your community. So I think when and I guess too, like that, we're looking at like different models too, like as an owner operator, I'm not running any free events. Like I can tell you right now, like, I have a very specific model. But when we talk about like those sort of like volunteer hours, certainly in some of those, I guess like CrossFit gyms would be a really good example of where that, the lines could get blurred if there aren't like clear, like, defined roles and like kind of expectations laid out right at the onset. From a client perspective, I think like, you are always like, when we look at pricing and we look at like what are we paying for, I think we have to talk about like what do you value, right? Like this is really the conversation. I sort of stopped putting that like on other people and just decided like this is what my rates are, and if somebody wants to work with me, this is what it's going to be. And not everyone can afford it, and that's okay. Maybe one day in the future, my legacy will involve offering some type of like, free like community service type, like just come and work out like in the park or in my gym. Like we'll see, like maybe I can get there. I'm definitely not there right now, but maybe I can get there. But right now, I'm looking for clients who want that really like high value service. They want to feel like they're taken care of, and they want to see results, and they budget for it. Essentially, it's like, this is part of like what I value, and I'm putting it higher on the list. And I think that's really what it comes down to. Like, and it doesn't really matter. Like we could say because obviously there's a lot of different options for people when it comes to fitness. And like, if they're putting fitness into their budget and they're just like working with a smaller budget, then it's just going to be based on like, hey, like this is what I can afford. This is what I'm going to look for. And they're still going to benefit from that. But of course, like, there'll be people that can sort of prioritize it a little bit more and can like say, I want to spend a little bit more for like that one-on-one time. And that's essentially my service. So I think, there is that conversation about like, from a trainer perspective, like who do I want to work with? Yeah. Right. So who am I attracting? Yeah. And then from a client perspective, like, what do I value? And like, where can it fit into my budget? Where do I want to put it into my budget? So I think when we're talking about pricing, that's something to consider as well, is just like, for sure, you can't be everything for everybody. Yeah.
And you know what? I think, especially a lot of the clients or the people that I end up working with, they value having a relationship with their trainer a lot. And that doesn't mean talking every week. There's a lot of clients of mine that I talk to every 2 to 3 weeks, and they might get little pieces of feedback, but they know that they have a relationship with me and that I'm thinking about their family responsibilities, their job, hours they have to work in the week, and how much time they realistically have in the gym, whether they're pregnant or not, and how they're feeling right now. And so even if I don't talk to them regularly, they know the person behind the programming, and they know who they're paying, and they know that relationship matters, but also takes time to build. So we built that in the first place, and I personally like that. And I've bought really cheap programs online multiple times in the past, $10 a month, $30 a month. And I don't use them. I'll do it for like a week or two. Right. But when I got a trainer or my online coach, who was you. Yeah. And that was just, because number one, I like learning from you and I trust you. And I know you're very strong and good at your job. So your goals for me. But when I started paying you for that service, and for me, that was an expensive service when I started paying for it, because I had never paid that before. Yeah. And I didn't have a lot of money to pay for that, but sorry. knowing that the person behind it really cared for me, I was like fucking in the gym, and I was like, you work hard. And even if I didn't talk to you about it for 2 or 3 weeks, I knew who was doing the programming, and I knew who I was paying. Yeah. And paying also holds me accountable. Like I need to pay for something to really value it that much more, especially when it takes up so much of my time. Even if it's just 3 hours in the gym every week or less, it's still a good chunk of my free time and energy. Yeah, absolutely. So I like paying for programming, and I want my clients to pay for their programming. I don't want to give them freebies, because I know that will also get them better results than just handing them off free workouts. I've given out free workouts here and there randomly. They don't follow through. You don't see the results. Rarely. No. So rarely. Yeah. And that's something like, and I appreciate your kind words, Megan. And I mean, obviously, like, watching you get unbelievably strong over the course of our relationship has been super rewarding for me too. So it's easy for me to like, when it comes time to like sit down and look at the work that you're doing for the week, like I get excited because working with clients like you is just super exciting. So, there's definitely like when you talk
talk about that relationship, like it is important. And when you have a coach that is invested in seeing you like grow and get stronger, like you typically grow and get stronger. So like you get those results. So it is very cool for us to like have that dynamic and be able to like look at it and see that progress.
And you know what, like if I had a full-time job that was not this, I don't know how I would have time to care about that people to that depth.
Right.
It would be so hard. And I think I would just not be able to sustain it for that many years because that takes a lot of my energy.
It does. You know, when I've heard so many stories too from clients that I've worked with about like trainers that they've worked with in the past, or, you know, roads that they've taken where like ultimately it was like cheaper wasn't better because like neither one of them, the coach or the client, was really invested in the process, right? It was like maybe it was a friend who was a coach and they were like, oh, like it's my friend, so I'll just like get some advice from them, and oh, my friend, I'm waiting for them to send my program through, but like you know, they're a little bit late. And like you hear this and like I've actually, and you know, I've made those mistakes myself, like in the start of my career, like just trying to help people out, like, oh yeah, like sure, I'll give you some like nutrition help. No one is invested in that. So like, I think like it just, again, that conversation around like valuing, like you get what you pay for, right? Like if you had a problem with the foundation in your house and like you're getting water in your basement, like, are we like looking for like the cheapest option? Like it's your freaking house. Like I hope you're looking for the best option, right? Like you're looking for the company that is going to do like solid work that they guarantee, that they stand behind, that they trust, and like, yes, I will pay for that. So I think that's the sort of the same thing applies, where it's like you really ultimately you end up like you get what you pay for. So I think like that's on both ends, like you know, as a coach, setting the rates that are like good for you based on like what you need to earn, based on like the work that you know you put in on the front end and the back end, and like, hey, this is how many clients I can take on and provide an excellent service. And then from a client perspective, just deciding like, how does this fit in my budget? You know, what can I afford? What do I value? And like, hopefully there's some like a meet in the middle somewhere where like you know, it just aligns for both parties in an ideal way.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, I think that, that about wraps it up. But if anyone, certainly I think it's an awesome conversation. And if anyone has any questions about this, just hit us up in the comments or send us a DM and we'd love to chat with you about it.